Long ago, in a small village called Dari, there lived a poor man named Hashim bin Salim. He owned nothing but a mud house, 2 worn-out robes, and a loyal dog named Wabi. Hashim was a thin, dark-skinned man, with eyes full of both sorrow and hope. His face was framed by a faint beard sprinkled with gray. Every morning, he would walk to Wadi al-Janadal to gather firewood, sell it in the market for a few coins, and buy a bit of bread and some dates. His wife, Hind, was a beautiful but sharp-tongued woman. She had no patience for poverty and spent her days complaining, blaming Hashim for ruining her youth in the mud and dust of misery. One cloudy morning, after returning home exhausted with a bundle of wood and a hard loaf of bread, Hashim found Hind standing at the door, anger blazing in her eyes. "Get out of my house, you unlucky man," she shouted. Shocked, Hashim asked softly, "Have you gone mad, Hind? Where would I go? I have no home but this." She spat back, "Go live with your dog, Wabi. He's more useful than you." With a heavy heart, Hashim gathered what little dignity he had left, packed a small bag of food, and walked away. Wabi followed him silently, wagging his tail as if trying to comfort his master. At the edge of the village, Hashim sat beneath an old cedar tree and whispered, "O Lord, I own nothing but this dog, be my helper and my shelter." That moment marked the beginning of a story neither Hind nor Hashim himself could have imagined. As dusk fell, Hashim remained under the tree, the wind playing with his tattered robe. Wabi rested his head on Hashim's knees, eyes full of loyalty. Looking at the sky, Hashim murmured, "If the world has cast me out, then, Lord, don't let you turn away from me." He rose and walked with his dog toward the deserted outskirts of the village, where he found an abandoned hut, its walls crumbling, its roof sagging like it was mourning its past. He broke a few branches, lit a small fire, and lay down on the ground beside Wabi. "As long as you're with me, my friend," he said softly, "poverty can't harm me. You're truer than 1,000 men." While clearing a corner to sleep, his hand hit something hard beneath the dirt. Curious, he began digging, Wabi helping beside him, until they uncovered an old wooden chest with strange carvings. The lock was rusted. Hashim smashed it open with a rock. Inside, his eyes widened, small bags of silver coins, gold dinars, necklaces, and jewels gleamed under the firelight. He froze in disbelief. Am I dreaming, or has God answered me? He knelt, kissed the earth, and whispered, "No one knows what blessings God hides in the dust of despair." From that night, everything changed. The next morning, Hashim awoke with a racing heart. He decided to keep the treasure secret. He buried it again and took only a few coins. Disguised in his old robe, he went to the village market, bought a camel, new clothes, water, and tools, then quietly returned to the hut. Each night, he would take a small portion of the treasure, buy goods, and trade them. In time, he opened a small shop selling dates, oil, and grains. His honesty won the hearts of the villagers. They began calling him the honest merchant. Though his wealth grew, Hashim stayed in his humble hut, fed the hungry, gave water to the thirsty, and hid his blessings from jealous eyes. At night, he'd pat Wabi's head and say, "My friend, they don't know that the richest man in the village still eats beside his dog." Weeks passed, and Hashim's name became known far and wide. Even Hind, now divorced and miserable after marrying a cruel man, began watching him from afar. She'd visit the market pretending to shop, asking, "Is that really Hashim, the firewood man?" And they'd reply, "Yes, it's him. Look how God changes fortunes." One quiet night, Hashim heard a soft knock on his hut door. It was Hind, her face aged, her eyes wet with tears. "Peace be upon you, Hashim," she whispered. He looked at her for a long moment, emotion stirring in his chest. "What brings you here, Hind?" he asked calmly. "I came to ask forgiveness," she said, trembling. "I wronged you, and I regret it." Hashim nodded slowly. Time turns its wheel, and hearts can forgive. But a healed wound still leaves a scar. The next morning, Hind was sweeping outside the hut. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. I want to make up for what I did, she said softly. I didn't know your worth until I lost you. He sighed. A man's worth isn't in his wealth, Hind, but in how he treats others. That day, Hashem forgave her, but not his pain. You may stay, he said, but know this, the heart doesn't mend as easily as a roof. Time went by. Hashem's shop grew, his wisdom spread, and even the governor's envoy came offering him a high position, a seat among the rulers. But Hashem refused. I once slept in the mud, he said. If power blinds me, my injustice would be worse than my poverty. His humility made him greater than any ruler. But envy crept into the village. A jealous merchant named Jada began spreading rumors that Hashem had found buried treasure. A wicked man named Nasib, a former thief turned traitor, heard this and decided to steal the supposed treasure for himself. One night, Nasib and 3 accomplices sneaked toward Hashem's hut. But Wabi, ever watchful, growled and leapt at them, biting one intruder's arm and waking Hashem. The thieves fled in panic, chased by the barking dog and shouting villagers. By dawn, the truth was out. The wounded thief confessed everything. The village elders said, "Never have we seen a dog as loyal as Wabi." And another added, "As for you, Hashem, you've built your treasure with your own hands." The council punished the thieves and rewarded Hashem with a piece of land. From that day, Hashem and Wabi became legends in Duri, symbols of loyalty, patience, and gratitude. Sometime later, Hind returned once again, weeping. "I threw you away, Hashem," she said. "I didn't know I was casting light out of my home." Hashem smiled gently. "If you came for money, go. But if you came for the man you once knew, stay." Through her tears, she replied, "I came for you, Hashem, the man I finally understand." He took her hand and said, "Then let's begin anew. This hut will be our palace, as long as our hearts are true." Wabi barked joyfully, circling them as if blessing the reunion. That night, Hashem gathered the villagers and said, "I was once a poor man, cast out with only a dog. Today, I am rich, not with gold, but with love and gratitude." And so ended the story of Hashem and Wabi, a tale where dignity was the treasure, loyalty the reward, and love the final chapter.